In this 3-part mini-series, we're talking about the story of how I became a content creator and why you should become a content creator in 2020. What's up, purpose-driven entrepreneurs? Matt Bigger here, empowering you to maximize your potential with video content marketing by showing you it can be fast, fun, and simple. This channel will bring you weekly tips, strategies, and tutorials, so if you're new here, consider subscribing. If you haven't watched the first video in this mini-series, make sure you click the link above and go and watch that one first to build on the story for this video. Back in 2009, I met my future wife, Jamie, and we started a new life here in Calgary. The purpose-driven entrepreneur was asleep still, dormant, hibernating inside of me. The reality is I started to fall back into old habits from before I met my wife. Like I shared in the first video, it was like weekends of binge drinking, smoking marijuana, playing video games, eating fast food, all this stuff. Even though I had this new and exciting relationship, I was still the same old Matt Bigger, looking externally for excuses and blame instead of taking 100% responsibility for my results. Along with those bad habits came other bad habits like consumer spending and the mountains of debt that come along with buying shit that you don't need. I would use the same excuses that many people do. My job doesn't pay enough. The interest payments are too high. I'm not making enough money. And that might have been true, but the truth was I was lying to myself about whose fault it was. In short, I started feeling trapped again, and it started putting pressure on our relationship. By the time 2012 rolled around, Jamie and I had worked through some things, and we managed to get married on a shoestring budget back in our hometown where we met when we were kids in grade 4. A couple of years after we got married, I discovered something critical about myself. If I wasn't learning and reading and growing and advancing my skills, then I would become unhappy and depressed. And so I started reading again. I revisited books I'd read before, like Michael Gerber's E-Myth, Jim Collins' Good to Great, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Don't worry about the titles, I'll link those in the description below. But the point is, reading reignited that spark inside of me and awoke the entrepreneur once more. Then one day, while browsing the growing YouTube platform, I stumbled across this video that became the world's most famous TED Talk by Simon Sinek, How Great Leaders Inspire Action. And it just resonated with me because it gave me this perspective on why I didn't give a shit about all the businesses and jobs that I had before. There was no purpose. There was no reason why I was doing that work. And so with that clarity, I moved on to the next phase. Fast forward a few years, Jamie and I went to one of those entrepreneur weekend workshop things, and I made the biggest leap of faith I've ever made in my life, and I decided to sign up for high ticket coaching, which was like $26,000, and I had no idea what kind of business I was going to make. I didn't even know how I was going to pay for the coaching, and the biggest thing I learned from the whole process was how to pay for the coaching. And so I don't necessarily recommend doing that unless you have a great business idea and it's already making revenue. That's when you should really invest in coaching to take you to the next level. For me, I was getting complacent in my work and my job, and I was unhappy, so I figured that business coaching was what I needed to take the next step, and it was that leap of faith that really made the biggest difference. In the last video in this series, I'm going to share with you the biggest transformation in this story and the reason why you should become a content creator in 2020. So make sure you click the video over here.